talking about, I don't think we've had an All Black captain.
Not in the studio. I once shook Richie McCaw's hand, but that's the closest I've ever been to an All Blacks captain, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, we have got a former All Black captain in studio with us. Can I just say, Susu Mailo Sunga Whaalongo Tana Umaga, welcome to the show. So appreciate you taking time out of a very busy schedule to talk to us this morning.
Malo loves. It's good to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, before we rip into what's happening with the All Blacks right now, you could solve the problems. Coach of Moana Pasifika, I did say that you're a former All Black captain. A special honour again to be talking to you. Those are two special honours in itself. Coach of Moana Pasifika, All Black captain. Why are they special to you?
Very special to me. Obviously, being an All Black in itself is a great achievement, and one that obviously I'm very proud of, and made my family proud. But then, there's not many that can say they've been an All Black captain, and also being the first one of Pacific descent. That's something that I cherish, and my parents are very proud of. I always say that my mother had a premonition, a vision, whatever you want to say it. That one day she knew I would be the All Black captain, and
Probably a lot of mums out there who thought their son was going to be the All Black captain. That never worked out.
She also thought that I'd be a minister as well, but that one didn't come to. I think that was her real wish. But I think All Black captain was probably not bad for a second prize for my mum. But no, these things I think obviously accolades not just for myself, but for the people I represent, which is my family. I carry their names, and to have that mentioned when a great team like the All Blacks is around is something that's I'm very proud to be a part of. And then Moana Pasifika, the movement that was started, and having been a part of the very first team that came under that banner, and then now coming back to hopefully help steer the ship on the field. Again, that's a huge honour, and something that I think for me sits well with me at the moment, where I am in my life. It is something around, things that I've learned through my rugby life around giving back, and I think that's a Pacific trait that I believe anyway, that was handed down to me from my parents. And now it's just an extension of that for me. So it's something that sits well with me. And I'm very strong in our purpose around building up our young Pacific people, making sure there's pathways for them and through sport to whatever they want to do, and showing that sport is a vehicle for us to show the best of ourselves. I think some good things are happening. Obviously, we've heard with Adi Savea coming on board, who's passionate about the same movement and has the same purpose. And I think that's something that's within us all as Pacific people. Once you achieve a certain level, you've done the graft to get where you are. What's next? And invariably, usually comes to either, look after your family, give back. And, it just comes in stages. We all get there at the end once we get past our Uluvale stage, and,
That's
it's all about
stage.
me.
That's you, bro.
I'm still in that stage. What do you call that? Uluvale.
But so, I think we're very honoured to have, both those titles attributed to me, and, positions that I don't take for granted, and make sure that I try and uphold those, to the best of my abilities.
How did the signing of Adi come about? Do you approach him and be like, hey, come on, switch over? Or has he sort of put his hand up and say, hey, could this happen? Could this work? Or, I don't know if you could speak to that. But
Well, yeah, there was a bit of both, really. You have your wish list, and you always start with your wish list, and whether it's achievable or not, you just think, oh, well, who are the players that we think that, can help promote our, and obviously our movement, and Adi was in there, definitely. And then I was at the World Cup, and I went in with the All Blacks. Just spent an evening with them. They have this thing called Club Night, which is, and they have a lot of ex-players come in and just spend the evening with them. And, Artie, we were talking, and it just kind of came out then. And, it was like a tongue-in-cheek kind of, like throwaway line. And he just said, and we were talking about Moana. I said, man, you're doing well. Sounds like it's going to go good. And, shucks. We talk about, giving back, and then he kind of, as they do, as I'm walking away, they said, don't forget about me, for Moana. And
Is that right?
I just looked back at it, he kind of smiled and then walked away. So you don't know. Are you serious?
Yeah.
So just putting it out there, just a little, it's cool.
It would have helped to have his brother there.
I think so, to be honest, I think that
got him across the line.
Got him across the line now.
Sort of an odd gear change here, but when did you know you were better at rugby than most people? Like, because every kid dreams of being an All Black and they get the ball and they're like, I'm going to step this guy, and then boof, you get humbled pretty quick. And you strike me as quite a humble individual, but at some point you must have sort of noticed that you're like, I'm actually quite a bit better than most people. Like, when did you sort of click that you're like, maybe I could go really far with this?
You can't call me humble and then tell me I've got to tell you when I thought I was better than everyone.
You can still be humble and know your abilities at the same time.
No, look, I knew I was good because I had really good coaches that told me I was good. I never thought that I could ever go as far as I could, and I don't think I would have if I didn't have, key people at certain times in my life, support me and give me confidence. I think that's the big thing, and then, having my support base of my family and my wife, who keep you grounded, very quickly when you think you're getting better than you are. So, that was knocked down on me a long time ago, what you're asking me, man.
Still time to take out the trash on a Tuesday, right?
I don't think Tana's going to give you any more. I think
Okay.
You talk about leadership. I mean, you were given the All Black captaincy, proves you're a proven leader. Do you think we're missing a link with our current All Blacks team with the leadership at the moment?
He's not going to say that.
I mean, there's some. Okay, so Bjorn doesn't like DMAC at first. I've
never met Damien McKenzie. I think he seems like a great guy.
Okay, no, we joke, but what is happening with your former team, man? Why can't we close this thing out in the last 20 minutes of a contest?
Look, I try not to talk about
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I know what it's like on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, this is why on the other side, what is your go-to leadership technique to get everyone to be on the same page?
Look, I'm thinking about it. It's quite simple. Again, it's the purpose. Why are we here? And as All Blacks, it's really simple. Like, we're here to uphold the black jersey, those that have been before us. They talk about it all the time, and it's just an understanding that that's got to lead everything that we do. And that's in our behaviours and our actions. So, if you're not upholding that, and if your leaders are keeping you accountable to, hey, look, that's not the standard that we have here. It's got to be better than that. And again, when we do get into the current All Black group, just understand they've lost a lot of leadership in the last 12 months, really.
Yep.
It's a big gig, and I'm sure Scott Robertson's realising that it's a little bit different from Super Rugby, which it is. And I think that's just an understanding that people have to have is there's actually bigger steps between NPC and Super Rugby and international rugby than people think, and it's not just going to happen just like that. So there is a bit of bedding in time. Yet, as an All Black and as an All Blacks fan, I'm a fan of the All Blacks. I want them to do well. We expect them to win all the time. and that's starting to obviously be not the case anymore, which is a worrying fact for us, because teams have now caught up, but not just caught up. They're starting to move past us.
Yeah, they've figured it out, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, that's professional rugby. Like, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Now there's no really secrets to the secret sauce of the All Blacks was just we lived it. Like, it was, you were born with it. You came up playing the game, so we love the game. And where others probably came to the game a bit later, and now, with all our IP being moved on around with coaching, and there's no secrets anymore. So again, it's how do we evolve? How do we not just catch up, but how do we move past? That's what everyone's got to be thinking. That's not just in football and rugby. That's in everything. That's in life.
Do you mind sticking around, Tana? I know time's precious, but I'd love to talk to you a little bit about mental health and how you deal with pressure and stress, especially, you've been in some of the highest levels of scrutiny in the public eye, so we'd love to dig into that a bit, if you don't mind sticking around.
No worries.
More from Tana Umaga next here at Life. Well, good morning. This is Life FM on the Morning Wake Up with Salah and Beyond this morning. In studio with us, we have coach of Moana Pasifika, former All Black captain Tana Umaga. And great timing, Tana, that you're in studio with us this week, as we're celebrating and acknowledging and embracing Mental Health Awareness Week.
I wanted to know from you, and we tried digging a little bit into what he thinks going on with the All Blacks at the moment, and they got
He wants to ask, bro.
I got so many questions off here we could talk about, right? But you're quite reluctant to sort of step into any of that kind of thing, because you've obviously been on the other side of that, right? You've been captain of the All Blacks. You've coached multiple teams, been on the winning end of a lot, been on the losing end sometimes. And how have you, throughout your career, especially being in public eye, and you're one of the most recognizable All Blacks, I imagine, when you go for a walk, people give you the nod, want to say hi, get a photo. How do you deal with the scrutiny that comes, and did you feel all that pressure when you're the captain, when the media starts coming at you? I mean, it's a long time ago now, but you did tackle Brian O'Driscoll, and you had a whole country's media against you there for a while. And what's that like? How do you cope with that?
Definitely. You definitely come under a lot of scrutiny, and the pressure does mount on you, especially when you're leading a team like the All Blacks. And as you mentioned, I've had some key moments in my life where it's been ramped up. How do I handle it? I suppose I have a good network of people around me that support me wholeheartedly. Obviously, family. My wife Rochelle's been, I think like all of us, it's the rock of someone that supported me through that, as well as my siblings, especially. They have someone that you can always talk to, and you're going to get the real talk. And I take more out of that than I would out of anything else that's written or said about me, because as we know, there's differing of opinions, and probably people that when you're talking about media coming at you, a lot of it's slanted from a different point of view, and probably not as well informed as people should be. But it's still tough no matter what you do, and it's hard to get away from in this country.
For someone like you too.
Well, you can say I'm not going to read the papers, I'm not going to listen to the radio, but your family read that, and then they're the ones that are texting you everything. So all their best intentions are texting you. Are you all right? Did you hear what they said? I'm going to get them.
You're like, what's been said now? I don't even know.
Well, that's right. And then you end up, no, don't worry about it. You're actually trying to look after them, because they're the ones that want to actually do something.
Yeah, like trying to shield them almost.
Yeah. So they're trying to protect you, but they're actually informing you of actually what's out there. So I think for me, it's just having a great understanding of who you are, and what are the values that you uphold yourself to. And again, I always go back. That's what's my family values were. They were instilled in me by my parents and my family, and just having that. I talk about it a lot to young players. Like at some stage, man, you've got to be your number one fan. Because you got to have that utmost confidence in who you are and what you do. And I know that's tough, but sometimes in those tough times, you're the only one that's rooting for yourself. You know, when things are going hard, you know, you're going through a tough time in life, just remember that, you know, you've got to be confident in yourself. And that's something that I think I'll make my family a bit angry, because I do come, you know, in my family sense, I do talk myself up, but a lot of it's just for myself. You know, because no one else is in my family. I was like, shucks, don't worry, I'll do it for myself. I don't need your support. You know, I'll do it myself.
Very good.
Do you think it's kind of changed within, because you know your career and playing days and our coaching days have spanned quite an interesting period of, you know, like, I guess when you're first coming into All Blacks environment and professional rugby, it's kind of in those early days of the transfer out of amateur into the professional era, and maybe some different ways of thinking and how people talked about mental health or how people were going. Have you noticed a change over that span?
Oh, 100%. It's probably been the biggest change. You know, like when I first started, you were told what to do. You weren't allowed to talk because, you know, you were the junior. You know, not allowed to look at the senior players at the back.
Not allowed to look at them?
Nah.
Really?
No, it was just, no, that's disrespectful, sit there. And
What level are we talking about here?
that's when I was younger,
okay.
you know, when I first started coming through, you know, and then even in my rugby days coming through, it was very much sit at the front, you know, speak when you're spoken to, you know, and so coming through till now, you know, and that was just how it was. You dealt with it. Again, you're lucky you got another group of friends. I was fortunate that every team I kind of got into, I had either played with a senior player or someone that had been there, you know, for a couple of years. So they kind of mentored you through the process of what it takes to get through this, you know, in this
the
environment.
hazing that goes on.
Yeah, a bit of that, you know, and so they kind of kept your nose clean and things like that. And then I noticed the changes, you know, towards the back end of my career when I was becoming a leader, you know, that when I was new into the team, I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like being talked like that. I have this real thing about fairness, you know, no matter who you are. So, you know, when they'd say things to me, and it goes back to even when I was at Sunday school and when I was young, I says, "Why are you yelling at me for? I'm not the only one that was talking to you." You know? And then, you know, that kind of brought me through even into my rugby days. And when I became a leader, you know, I didn't want, you know, to pass on the feelings that I had being, you know, given, you know, being put under that kind of, not pressure, but, you know, that way of doing things.
Yeah.
So I just said, well, I don't want to do that. I didn't like it when I was there, so why would I repeat that? And so I kind of just changed the way I dealt with the younger players, you know, and having that understanding of, you know, well, I'm going to treat you like I hope I would have been, you know, wish I was treated when I was younger. And yeah, like, there was no mention of mental health then. It was just, you know, that's the way it's done. Now, you know, it's a lot different now. We have to be very conscious of how we treat players, you know, how they are given, you know, information, you know, and whether that's, you know, the positive. Obviously, everyone loves positive, but also in our game, you know, there's negative information that we have to give. And we do a lot around, you know, understanding our players, you know. And I remember talking to Benji Marshall a long time ago, just, you know, the saying of, you know, they don't care until they know how much you care. So, you know, having a real care for players is something, you know, that I wish I had when I was a player. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I had semblance of it. Like I said, I had good people within each environment I was in that, you know, that looked after me. So I was really fortunate. But now it's something that we know we have to be very aware of when we're discussing things with our players and just in our environment too, you know. But also we want to make it real. Like, it's got to be authentic. It's not just something that you just put on and then when something goes wrong, you just change straight away and it goes back. Yeah.
Very good. Well, we got to go record a podcast. So I need to ask
Time
you,
is running out.
I need to ask you one more question, and we'll come back to now, because you're the coach of Moana Pasifika now. Aside from winning the championship next year, what does success look like for you in your role, Tana?
Success for us, look, I know, like, we want to develop players. We want to grow Moana Pasifika, our movement, as I've talked about, and how we can not just influence our rugby fraternity, but also our wider communities, and being really, I think also, as I said, confident in knowing that there's opportunities for our people out there. There's steps to how we can do that. It's not just going to happen. We have to work for it. And that's probably the wider picture of success that I see. And also, as a coach, I have a simple saying that I want all players that I'm involved with to live the dream that I'm living, all my life. My wife still doesn't believe I work because I'm still happy to go to work, every day. So
That's awesome.
It's something that really simple, but that's kind of how I see success with our players, and they can, because I know this game can do good things for people. Can turn lives around and help others.
Well, those players and people who you impact are very blessed to have someone like you in their lives. So, again, we appreciate you taking time to come in and have a chat to us. We wish you well. Let's go do this podcast.